So this week's session I'm doing is called Back to Basics with posture and poles. But I wanted to just go through the beginning bit of the session with you, which is about pelvic floor. So this is an area which is quite important, and a lot of people don't really understand how to engage their pelvic floor properly. So if you think about sitting in a chair, quite a lot of the time we sit quite slumped. Particularly if you sit over a desk and do work over a desk, your posture will be affected. And when you're sitting like this, your organs are all crunched up, your diaphragm is all crunched up, and you can't breathe properly, and you definitely can't engage your core muscles, of which pelvic floor is one of them. So really want to get you out of this type of posture, and also want to sort of show you how to engage your pelvic floor in the best possible way. So the first thing to be aware of is sitting up nice and tall. And so you want to sit right up on your sit bones. Now, you may want to have your feet on a block. If you're not particularly tall, you want to have your legs at a 90-degree angle. So if when you're sat down at your desk you feel as though you can't sit upright because you can't get that work in terms of your length through your spine, then you need to put the block there. And then you're going to sit tall, and then that will help you engage your pelvic floor a little bit better, and your deep tummy muscles. So you want to think creating length from the crown of the head. You want to think of opening out across the collarbones, and you almost want to think of like a shrimp wrap feeling. So you don't want to be tucking your tailbone under, because that pushes your pelvis forwards. You want to sit right up on the two bony sit bones, and then that will create that better posture, and then from there you can engage your pelvic floor better. So this actual exercise comes from another teacher who I got this from, and I wanted to share it with you because I think it's quite worthwhile to go through. So we're told to engage our pelvic floor, but sometimes we don't really understand what that is or how it works. And quite often we're just asked to draw up and draw down, but are we actually engaging all parts of the pelvic floor? So if you're a lady, you'll have three bits to your parts to your pelvic floor, and if you're a gentleman, there'll be two parts. And really, you've got muscles that surround those particular front, middle, and back, which I'm going to talk about. And you want to be able to engage equally in all three parts. Otherwise, what will happen is you might be working some parts of your pelvic floor better than others, and you want to really get all three areas working consistently. So to help you with that, you're going to take a towel, and as I say, this is something that I picked up from another instructor, and I thought it was worthwhile sharing with you. So you're going to sit on your towel, it's a bit strange, like so, and this is to give you some tactile feedback. And I want you to think of, if you're a lady, you're going to go front, middle, back, and gentleman front and back. And you're going to try and isolate each part of your pelvic floor. So sitting upright, as I've just explained, you want that length from the crown of the head. I want you to draw up from the front, so from the front of the pubic bone. And you're going to lift up off of the towel and try to draw up internally. And you're just going to come up as far as is comfortable, and then just as is important as it is to be able to contract your pelvic floor, you also need to be able to release it properly. So once you've created that connection and that contraction, you're then going to allow the pelvic floor to release. Then you're going to do the same thing if you're a lady with the middle. So you're going to draw up through the center of your pelvic floor, and you're again going to try and isolate that from the front and the back and draw up. So draw without holding your breath, because if you hold your breath you're going to push down on the pelvic floor, and then you're going to again release it as easily as you did when you were pulling it up. And then finally everybody would come to the back of the pelvic floor and draw up from the back, again without giving your glutes a good old squeeze, which is always a bit of a challenge, but you should be able to isolate the muscles around the back and draw up, and then release back down again. And because you've got the towel, you're hopefully feeling that lifting up and then releasing back down again. So you need to think in your mind, did you have as much connection at the front, middle and back as you equally in all three? And if you didn't, then my suggestion would be that you need to work in that particular part a little bit more, because what happens then when you try to engage your pelvic floor, which is what we're asked to do, then you will find actually that maybe the stronger parts of the pelvic floor will take over and the weaker parts get left behind. So then you're going to draw up from front, middle, back, being aware of that weaker part of the pelvic floor, maybe having to work a little bit harder, or even isolating and doing a few more separate repetitions of that core engagement till you feel that you've got equal amount of work between all two or all three parts of your pelvic floor. Then you'll take the towel away and maybe do the same thing again, and then you would think about that during your everyday life, during when you're standing. So you can do this standing, you can do it sitting, and then in my Pilates classes you would then use that connection with movement through Pilates exercises, and it has been proven that it's more beneficial for you to do movement with pelvic floor contractions rather than just doing those contractions up and holding and releasing. But hopefully that's just given you a little bit of an insight into your pelvic floor, and obviously if you'd like more information then you can get in touch with me separately. Thank you.